for Kids First, and I'm thrilled to introduce Joe Steele, an exceptional artist and content creator whose recent episode on Faceplant Season 2, this LA artist traded virality for authenticity and it saved their life, is gripping audiences around the world. Joe specializes in mesmerizing body art and illusion makeup, earning fame with notable figures like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sharing their work. Yet this spotlight did bring intense social media scrutiny and pressure. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you. Hi.
Well, it's great meeting you because I have seen your work all over the place. I don't think anyone on the internet can say that they haven't really seen your work or at least your techniques. So it's really cool getting a glimpse into the artist today. So your journey in the art world has been both captivating and tumultuous. What inspired you to share your personal story in such a public way?
Totally. So I had been sharing like my mental health journey for many years, and I found that like an important part of my platform. But Faceplant gave me the like ability to share my full story and to share like specifically how social media impacted that journey. Um, so that was a huge thing for me to be able, it's very vulnerable. And I think like there's always a certain amount of positivity and negativity on the internet. And then to put that story out there, I knew like would likely even be met with more of both of those things. So
That's very interesting. And your particular episode for me, it beautifully like it captured the essence of your journey. And I would love for you to share what was like a pivotal moment that you felt captured this shift towards embracing authenticity over virality in your own work.
totally. To like pinpoint an exact moment is so hard because it was almost a culmination of like things that led to that moment. I just could sense like a growing amount of just unhappiness that I wasn't the person I was sharing was so far removed from who I felt I was as a person at some point. I was like being told even by like previous like team members like things like don't cut your hair, like make sure you're palatable, make sure like the views you share are palatable. And so changing that and like starting to recognize that I value more the authenticity piece than the virality piece was a huge thing for me. It definitely did save my life.
The thing that's interesting for me is that your story really does resonate with this younger audience now more than ever, considering how big social media is and how right now we're opening up a lot more conversations about mental health. So, kind of switching gears now, I want to really talk about your creative process. So, your body art and illusion makeup techniques are, well, I've said this before, but they're stunning, they're amazing. Can you tell us how your artistic process has evolved because you have prioritized your authenticity over, have been prioritizing that in your work?
Totally. So for me, I'm like a huge dork, like I'm a huge nerd. And so taking more inspiration from those things and that part of my life has been like very healing for me to do like more cosplays, to do things just based on my own interests. Of course, I still do things surrounding pop culture. Like just yesterday I did a Taylor Swift transformation. So like naturally I'm still going to do things that, but it's fun for me. I think that's the difference is instead of putting all the pressure on myself for like likes, views, engagement, it's like, do I want to do this? Is this going to be a fun transformation? Am I looking forward to this? Which I don't think was how I was feeling before. I was every single thing that I was making was how is this going to perform? And then when I didn't see it do well, it was, oh no, like I put all this work into it. And I think that that really put like a damper on my creative process.
I want to ask you this question because I've been interested in your thoughts on this. We've seen that a lot of studies and a lot of scientists have been doing studies about uh, kids have been changing their answers when it comes to the question of what do you want to be when you grow up? And what we notice is that one of the number one answers now is content creator or influencer. And if you could share your thoughts on that, but also maybe your advice to kids who want to become an influencer when they grow up.
Totally. For me, it happened on accident. So I happen to know a lot of other like content creators slash influencers who have a similar story, I think. When you start, if you really try to just share what feels authentic to you and what makes you happy, people will naturally gravitate towards that. So I think if you jump into social media thinking, I'm going to be a content creator, I'm going to go viral, like all this sort of stuff, like you're putting way too much pressure on yourself. And that might not happen. I think there are also a lot of content creators who have secondary jobs because it is a very difficult field to make a living in. Stability and social media do not go hand in hand whatsoever. So I think it's just about staying grounded, not being hard on yourself. A lot of people curate their content. So you're seeing like these amazing pieces of content, you're seeing their amazing lives, and they're not really sharing the stuff behind the scenes, like the pressure and all of that. So I think it is fascinating that kids these days are now wanting to do this.
That is, and thank you for that answer as well, because that's great that you pointed out that not everything you see when it comes to the content, you don't see the behind the scenes. I imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there might be a lot of mess after all of that art that you're doing, you know?
Totally. That's like it's an understatement. Honestly, I'm super lucky to have a partner who helps with stuff like that because doing that on my own, setting up, breaking down, cleaning, like importing all the footage, editing it all, like doing all of that process all by myself would feel very, and I have done that at certain points, like definitely towards the beginning.
Wow.
It's a very overwhelming process. So yeah.
And in your episode, there's
Oh,
a
sorry.
realization. There's there's a realization about the importance of mental health and mental well-being. So how do you incorporate self-care as well as mindfulness into your creative process?
Totally. Again, I apologize for my cat. He didn't scream all day until I started having interviews. I wish I could control him, but he's unruly. Um, yeah, so for me, I do something that I call like hermiting, and that's just my way of just disconnecting from the world. He's relentless. Um, I think self-care is like something I value first above everything. So for me, self-care is like the name of the game because if you're not taking care of yourself, I think that's going to reflect in everything that you do, not just like professionally and online, but literally all aspects of your life. So I've made that like a huge focus for myself these last 6 months because I had been like letting go of that. So
Right. Well, thank you for that. And
yeah,
Um, my last question for you is your episode also highlights, as you mentioned, and I love this word, the power of vulnerability. So how do you hope your story will impact others, especially those struggling with similar challenges in the creative field and online?
totally. So I think that vulnerability is really important. And I don't necessarily think that means that everybody has to share and that's like the answer because I know it is scary and it does invite potentially like some negativity into your life that you might not want. But for me, the vulnerability and the sharing of that is inspiring and it does help
Right.
me because it creates a platform for people to like talk about these things also. So like whether it's in the comments or just like in their own lives, it creates a conversation, which I think is really cool. So yeah.
That I love that because it's like you can create a community within your comments section and like that's cool.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, thank you so much for joining me with this interview.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your incredible journey. This LA artist traded virality for authenticity and it saved their life. And all episodes of Faceplant Season 2 are available now to stream for free on millionstories.com. I'm Ashleigh Clyde, reporting for Kids First. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye.